Hello, this is Matt Harris with Verado, and today we're going to do a quick little talk about what the hell is Industry 4.0. So to understand what Industry 4.0 is, it's basically the latest stage of industry, let's just say. Industry 1.0, Industry 2.0, Industry 3.0, but where did we even come around creating these concepts around these different phases of industry? And you can basically blame this guy, Jeremy Rifkin. Jeremy Rifkin published a book in 2011, which he focused on the intersection of digital communication technologies and renewable energy, and basically termed third industrial revolution based on the fact that we had digitized everything, essentially. So communications, where businesses now, instead of requiring trade to be through word of mouth and handwritten, like the old school way, now you have telephones and you have computers, and what trade is initially an agreement. So an agreement can be passed quickly, and then the actual physical goods or services can be transmitted later, and it just massively accelerated and expanded the reach of industry. So that came out in 2011. That's Industry 3.0. And quickly after that, this guy, Klaus Schwab, said, hey, hold on, stop the presses. We're already into the fourth industrial revolution. So very quickly, within a 5-year span, we started talking about Industry 3.0, and then it got rebranded 4.0. And so depending on who you talk to, it's either just a marketing gimmick, or there's some real merit to breaking 3.0 and 4.0 into two different phases. But in order to get perspective, let's just go through the phases very quickly, because that'll put some kind of historical perspective on this. So the first industrial revolution, this isn't, everyone kind of agreed academically to this now, was the late 18th century and the early 19th century. So think of like the late part of the 1700s. And we were converting to an agrarian, mostly farming societies to industrial societies, and you have mechanical production and the use of steam and improvements on iron making. So essentially, like, think of a textile mill that might be leveraging a millworks that could be powered by water, which was later powered by steam, and it's turning machines so that you can get more production. So maximizing human capital. So humans with the tools can now produce more stuff, essentially. And that was the first industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution happened in the late 1800s to the early 20th century. And it's basically two big transformative, or three, really, technological advances: the combustion engine, electrical engineering, which was really the application of electricity. So electricity had already existed, but we have like the application of it, and the expansion of steel and chemical industries, and then telecommunication and transportation. So major advances in those areas. So think trains, highways, airplanes. The Wright brothers was the early part of the 20th century. And then just kind of amplifying what had been built in the first industrial revolution and streamlining it and making it faster and making the machines better and more powerful. So, electrical machines, combustion engines, and all the way to the airplane. And I would say the airplane probably marks the kind of peak of the second industrial revolution. And then the third industrial revolution is when we get into the transistors. So you got computing power. So now data is essentially the new powerful technology. you have the biotechnology and mobile phones and everything that comes with the transistor and computers and connected computers. So the internet and everything is really Industry 4.0, or 3.0, excuse me, third industrial revolution. So think about it this way. You used to have to call somebody on a phone and they would write down your order using a typewriter, and then that would get filed in a filing cabinet with other orders from the same person. And now you have somebody faxing an order through. And so they don't have to call on the phone, and pretty soon that fax can become an email, and then that email can be automatically inserted into a database. And now what used to take a bunch of different steps and some paper and some phone calls is happening almost automatically. Orders can come through seamlessly. That's just one example of industry, the third industrial revolution, but it's essentially all of that. And then major advances in biotechnology and the mobile phones and automation and robotics. So you would think that's where we're at now, right? That's 3.0 is as far as we've gotten, right? Well, the fourth generation is when you take all of that infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, and you start applying it to artificial intelligence. So you have now robots doing the thinking, with algorithms, machine learning, Internet of Things, advanced robotics, 3D printing, blockchain, Bitcoin, essentially, digital ledgers, massive connection, advances in gene technologies. So now we've got, we understand the human genome, and we're applying solutions to medicines and biopharmas because of our knowledge of the genome and proteins. And we're using computers and powerful computer technologies to advance our understanding of biology. And then you get into augmented reality, where now the computers and the technology is now blended into our own reality. So think about the cell phone as being something that you look at all the time, and that your understanding of your reality is as much this device as your physical experience, and that there is simply a latency between what's in your phone and what's in your brain because you have to look at it. Well, Industry 4.0 is going to remove that latency, theoretically, so that our connection to the metaverse, the meta realm, will be instantaneous. That's where people think it's going. And then you have also like nanotechnologies and advanced materials and, biodegradable materials. That's also kind of packaged in there. But the way I think of it is really, Zuckerberg talks about the metaverse, and he renamed his company Meta because it's basically the concept of the melding of our digital experience and our physical experience, where they're going to become layered on top of each other and within us. So the evolution of 4.0 theoretically is that we will have devices implanted or on our wrists. We have those already. There'll be biomarkers that can be recorded, and the recording of those biomarkers can be assessed, and that we're going to be using artificial intelligence to understand human behavior, and that our interaction with artificial intelligence is going to become layered and almost seamless. So this is when you get into concepts around singularity. A lot of the big theoretical conversations are starting to happen within this idea of the fourth industrial revolution, which we are just now getting into. And that's where they think the people that want to create this language around the fourth industrial revolution and how it's different than the third industrial revolution is think of the third industrial revolution as essentially the framework and the foundation on which the fourth industrial revolution is going to be built. And we're in the middle of it right now. So it's partially theoretical. But I think there's a lot of agreement that it's, academics are starting to use it and talk about it. Business people are talking about it. It's a lot of buzz. So the marketplace of ideas has decided that the fourth industrial revolution is worth describing and putting a framework around that for discussion. So that's where we're at. Some people think it's kind of, marketing fluff and that it was just started because someone wanted to write a book. But that's how a lot of ideas start. And then they become part of the zeitgeist and part of our lexicon and part of what we, how we understand the world. So that's what it is in my estimation. So if you hear people talk about Industry 4.0 or the fourth industrial revolution, that's basically the bigger picture is artificial intelligence and the blending of our physical human experience with our digital experience. That's it. I hope that helps. I hope I did a good job explaining it. And thanks for listening and watching.